What's up, world? This is Mig with NFT Stories, back for another video. As always, you know I got my main man Novo with me. Novo, what's going on, brother? How do you feel?
Welcome, all my aliens, apes, and zombies. We're here with the most famous pink with hat CryptoPunk ever.
That's right. That's right. We have an additional CryptoPunk comrade on the show with us, and we're super excited to have her. She is also an incredibly talented artist working in mediums including oil, acrylic, artificial intelligence, using Artbreeder, Procreate. She works in collage, photography, and more. She is also the co-founder of Accelerate Art, which we're going to talk about that and dive into what that is. And you might know her in the Twitter sphere, in addition to all of the above, as one of the very valued members of the CryptoPunk community. And of course, I am talking about none other than the one and only Claire Silver. Claire, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Oh my gosh, what an intro. Hey, so happy to be here.
Well, it is all our pleasure. We are super excited to have you. And, you know, we've crossed paths in the CryptoPunk verse universe on Discord, also on Twitter. If I'm not mistaken, I think actually Justin Aversano might have been the connector that sort of first put me onto your work, which he's such a good friend of the show. He's always telling us about amazing artists. But you know, the name of the show is NFT Stories. So Claire, I would love to start by just having you share a little bit of your background, you know, your traditional art world background, and then how did you sort of, you know, get into this rabbit hole of NFTs?
Yeah, you know, real quick, Justin is amazing. Justin Aversano. He's actually one of the first artists in our inaugural class for Accelerate Art. He's going to be shown in our gallery at the end of the month. So super excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so my background story is, it's a little convoluted, but yeah, so basically I had a career in something unrelated. And then this is a downer, but I got hit with a permanent, serious, chronic illness out of the blue. So it ended that career. And I kind of felt sorry for myself for a couple years. And then I started teaching myself to oil paint. I got bored, you know, I wanted to learn something new. So I ended up taking a year and taught myself to oil paint and really enjoyed it. And then I got an iPad and started playing with Procreate and discovered sort of the digital art world and thought it was so innovative and so amazing and so under-respected, undervalued monetarily and in the traditional art world. And around the same time in 2017, I was starting to get into crypto via the Chan culture, the boards, you know. And I ended up in a crypto Slack for a particular cryptocurrency, started chatting there every day for a little while. And I made friends with this guy. We would talk about art a lot. And he ended up telling me about this project that was about to have an open claim called CryptoPunks. And I thought it was so cool. And so we talked about how they'd be in the MoMA someday. And, you know, it was really exciting. And I ended up missing the claim by like a day, maybe 2 days, which is such a bummer, right? But he ended up being like, oh, that's okay. I got a lot of them. And so he sent me 3. And so I held them forever. I held them through the $2,000 spike in, I guess it was 2018, maybe late 2017. I held them the whole time and am still holding them, have never sold. And that guy ended up being Mr. 703, if you are familiar with him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
No way.
So,
Yeah,
so Claire, I'm barely familiar with Mr. 703. I was doing some CryptoPunk window shopping and became familiar with him and his wallet because he has so many and some of the ones I was interested in. But can you, for those who have never heard of Mr. 703, like what can you describe his wallet and sort of his place in the CryptoPunk culture or community?
Yeah, well, like I don't want to get too far in because I don't know what he's comfortable with or not,
Sure,
but
sure.
just for matter of public record kind of thing, he's quite infamous in the CryptoPunks community for having been absent for a long time with a lot of punks. And so there was speculation on, did he die? Who was he? You know, are these lost forever? And then I guess it was early this year, or late last year, he just showed up. He just showed up, and yeah, he's been really active in the community since then. And I just so happened to be friends with him in 2017, and it's totally changed my life. So we
Wow.
reconnected through the Discord, and Justin Trimble helped me track him down. And yeah, he actually was my first buyer of my art that I started listing as NFTs. He bought a bundle of 10 or 11 pieces and sort of kickstarted my career with it. So he's helped me again. It's been amazing.
What a small world. And that's what I've learned about, the CryptoPunk community and the NFT community as a whole, is how everyone's just there for each other and helps each other out.
Yeah, I feel like I owe this community from the start because of that. So I'm really invested in it. But I've joked and said it's like the wholesome Masons because everyone is so invested in helping each other, to succeed.
It is definitely a tight-knit community, and I've not been I've been a punk owner for maybe 2 months, and I feel like it's just a very welcoming community too, which is cool to see, and it's cool to hear these stories of folks who have known each other for years. That's really, really awesome. So Claire, I want to show folks who might not be as familiar. I would love to show them some of your work. I am going to ask our producer to enable screen sharing, but while he's doing that, I wanted to ask you how you're using artificial intelligence in your artwork, because I know that it's something that you're very it's very present in your website and on your Twitter description. And you kind of talk about on your website that I believe you use some language about how you and AI kind of play equal roles. You and AI are working together. So can you go into some more detail about that?
Yeah, I totally can. I'd love to. So a little bit of background on how AI came into my life with it was post that chronic illness. I had a lot of existentialist angst, as you might imagine. And so I started thinking about what a future would look like without any illness, right? Like a transhumanist future, what that would look like. What a future would look like if we could remove trauma, and if that would be something that we should do, or if that's too integral to the human experience, because that's the hero's journey, right? You overcome. So if you get rid of that, what are you left with? But I kind of don't have an answer for whether or not it's better, but it fascinated me. I always say that I'm not making any statements on whether AI is good or bad. I'm a caveman painting fire is how I feel
Right.
about it. Yeah.
I
And
love that
so,
on your site. I love that language.
yeah, it's it's definitely accurate. So if you go up there to selected worlds on the far right, yeah. So these are all pieces that I've made with AI collaboratively. And the idea is that the AI makes an image and you can mix things into it: 2% jellyfish, 13% suspension bridge, and 60% wedding gown. And you just mix these little elements together and it gives you an array of images. And then you tweak them and curate them and painfully chip away at them until you get exactly what you want. And once you have exactly what you want, that's the basis for porting it over to Procreate and painting over it, animating it. With portraits, I'll often mix my own face into the source material in some percentage. So there's a little bit of me in all of my creations, which feels even more like a collaborative integration with AI. And I really try to make pieces that make you feel something um, wordless, something kind of transcendental, because I think that that's innately human. And if we can get AI to express that visually through something like art, then that'll be important going forward into a transhumanist future.
Wow. That is awesome.
I am speechless. That is, wow, exactly, Mig.
Well, it's always interesting, because the art is really captivating without having spoken to you ever before. Like I was drawn to the visuals alone. But it's always interesting to now know your backstory, right? And what a powerful story it is. And to have that understanding of how you start, or the motivation in terms of your pursuit of this sort of convergence of human and AI partnership is really, really interesting. So thank you for sharing that. That's really deep.
Yeah, happy to. Thanks.
So one thing I want to ask you about, first of all, you have, if anybody goes to clairesilver.com, there is a link to your available works, which links directly to your Rarible. So definitely check that out. I mean, there's some really great work here, and some of it's not for sale, but there is at least one up here that's like very, very nicely priced, I would say, which is a really beautiful piece. But I wanted to ask you, because when we talk about the mediums that you play in, you're obviously very versatile, right? Oil, acrylic, Procreate, working in collage, photography, but a lot of your digital pieces, you also sort of are bridging the gap between the metaverse and digital art and the physical world and physical art by painting what you call sort of twin pieces in the real world, in the physical world, IRL, right, that are twins of some of your digital art. Can you talk about like sort of your motivation there? What inspired that, and how has that helped your process, your inspiration, and even, if I could be so sort of tactless to say, how has it affected your sales?
Yeah, totally. Well, so I said before, I felt like the AI and I worked collaboratively, like truly collaboratively. And it definitely feels like you're working with a partner when you're working with the AI. So it felt fair to have a piece in the digital world that belonged sort of to the AI, and then to have a piece in the physical world that belonged sort of to me for the same piece. I've done several commissions at this point based on digital pieces that I've had from buyers. I've made physical pieces for them in process. I wouldn't say they're quite done, but I really enjoy it. It's really a lot of fun, and it feels good to look at it for sure. Um, you know, there's also, I always make it a point in my profile, my Twitter bio and everything, to say I've got this phrase there all the time that's taste is the new skill. And my
Yeah,
idea with that is that there's a lot of contention around Art Breeder as a tool. That is the AI that I use to make my work.
right.
Um,
I
yep.
was very curious about this because I wasn't familiar with Art Breeder until I was studying your site. It's very interesting.
Yeah, Art Breeder is amazing, made by a guy named Joel Simon, genius, fantastic. But essentially what it is it's a platform to allow you to make art with AI without knowing any code. There's no barrier of entry of skill to be able to make art with this. So the positive side of that for me is that it takes away that barrier of entry to anyone who wants it and allows their taste to dictate what they create. And I think that that's going to happen more and more and more on an
Right.
exponential technology curve. And that the pieces that people come up with when they don't have the barrier of skill and it's just their creative vision and their taste will be the cream of what humanity has to offer creatively. I'm so into it. But like the realists, for example, didn't like the impressionists. It wasn't considered real art, right? Because
Right.
it doesn't require the same skill set. So there's a lot of anti-art breeder sentiment from people that value skill in art over expression of idea or emotion, but I really think it's just about what you value most. And there's an art movement for you, whatever that is. With AI, I think it's taste. I think it's vision. Yeah.
Wow. That, I literally had written down that I wanted to ask you like what you meant or what you mean by taste is the new skill, because I've seen you tweet that, I've seen it in your Twitter bio, and then I read it on your website. And I love the way you summarize that, because I also think that there's something really, there's something about access, you know, like everybody, I guess technology is in a lot of ways leveling playing fields, right? Where everybody doesn't necessarily have space or equipment to work with certain mediums, you know. But what you're describing is in the future, and even in the present, we're seeing those barriers come down. And once there's a truly level playing field, then I think it's a lot easier to understand what you mean by taste is the new skill. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, it lets everyone sort of curate their own ideal art for sure.
Totally.
And I think that's
So,
what's kind of pushing the NFT movement, and is leveling that playing field, giving, the, people on the bottom, or maybe the first time people, or even the people working hard that has never had a voice, to have that voice.
Yeah, 100%. It's, and I've gotten some flack for this, but I think that the NFT movement is really populist. I think it's really democratic. I think it's very fair and inclusive, and I'm so about it. I think that it's sort of like millennial file share culture made economic model, right? And so once we figure that out as a generation, we're not going to go back. Also, I have to add real quick, because there are many AI artists that do use complicated, very technical models, and their work is incredible. And I'm not trying to downplay that side of things by saying, what I say about Art Breeder, they're just different pages in the same book.
sure, that makes sense. Now, Claire, we would be remiss if we didn't talk to you about Accelerate Art. Okay, so I'll admit, I was not super familiar with Accelerate Art before, doing a little bit of research for this interview, and I still can't say I'm super familiar. But you are a co-founder of Accelerate Art. So for anybody that's never heard of it, can you give them sort of the high level view of what Accelerate Art is, and what you're looking to achieve with it, and what its mission and purpose is?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Okay. So Accelerate Art is a gallery that I've co-founded with Ben Roy. He's the founder. I'm co-founder and curator. What we're attempting to do with it is to create an NFT gallery for emerging and new artists in crypto voxels, so in 3D metaverse space. Hopefully, eventually VR too would be great. But yeah, there's some of my art up on the wall there. So essentially, and it's a work in progress build, I am not super familiar with building with voxels yet, but essentially what we'll do is every month, give or take, we'll have a new cohort of artists. These artists will be able to show their pieces for the full month. We'll also have an auction for the first few days to try and help get them some visibility. After the month is over, with us promoting them, having a nice launch event, doing all of that, then we basically have another parcel property elsewhere that is a permanent gallery. So for this one, each artist has a piece in the permanent gallery that is always up and is arranged by time. So the first cohort will be in the front, and the second cohort will be a bit further in, and so on. And so by doing that, it's almost like a snapshot of the community at the time that you're walking through. You can see what was going on and who was in it at the time. And we plan to keep those, forever, essentially. We also have plans beyond that, but they have to materialize a bit more first. But we do have our opening on April 23rd, and we have 5 very talented NFT artists there. We've got Justin Aversano representing photography. We've got Siobhan Wong doing 3D. Amrit Paul, also a 3D artist, Amrit Pal Singh. And we have a Filippo Mugnai. He does digital painting that looks very traditional, very punk, very cool. And lastly, we have Luke Shannon, who does generative art based on code. So we're excited for the sample broad spectrum we have there.
That is awesome. And
Look
so,
around there. You have people walking around in there. You know, I'm actually walking around in there. But anyhow,
oh, nice.
it's cool to, you know, see that you're bringing in these artists. I know that, you know, Justin was you know, really big into this, and you know, I've been talking with people around the community. We talked to a lot of money just a while back, you know, with the crypto voxels. This is a really exciting space. It's a really fun space where it's a place where you can show off your NFTs and bring new artists into the picture. And that's what I love about it. You guys are giving back to the NFT community by featuring new artists, you know, as quick as you can.
Yeah, you know, they deserve to be highlighted. They deserve to have that position. And it's a great location. Like, we're right in between Async Art. They're just over the next building. We've got Maker's Place nearby. So there's going to be a lot of foot traffic. We'd imagine Xcopy has a gallery here. And so by having this nice big parcel of a building right central like that, we're hoping we can get a lot of foot traffic for new and emerging artists, and also get some excitement about crypto voxels, because it's so cool. It's so accessible. You can load it from your mobile phone browser. I mean, it's no tech barriers at all. Yeah, there's Async just there.
Wow.
And you know,
Location. You guys got a prime location. You guys have
Absolutely.
prime artists, you know, the development of that location is awesome. This is outstanding.
thank you so much. It's a great spot, and I'm so happy to be a part of this project. This was definitely Ben Roy's brainchild, and I'm very privileged to be able to be a part of it, for sure.
And so, Claire, I know you said, you know, you're still, it's a work in progress, but I mean, it's already like really dope. How long
Yeah,
have
this
you
is cool
been?
stuff.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
How long have you been building and developing in crypto voxels? You know, because and to be honest, like, I'm just learning about crypto voxels after we recently talked to and interviewed a lot of money, and so it's all really fascinating to me, and I'm curious, you know, how that learning curve has been, and how that journey of you know, getting your bearings has been.
Yeah, you know, it's really intuitive. I built this out in a couple of weeks, but it wasn't, you know, like constant work. It was just every now and then I'd come and do a little when I had a chance. Very intuitive. Um, I think I was downplaying it a little, because you wouldn't believe the talent from builders in this platform. It's crazy. A lot of money, for example. I actually think he has one of my favorite properties in the whole metaverse, which is it looks like a big black haunted house, and it's just a couple streets down. It's got secret doors. It's got spooky paintings. It's got Xcopy. What's not to love, right?
That is so cool. Well, first of all, it's awesome that you're using those talents and learning this process in order to highlight, you know, up and coming artists, because, you know, you've developed your own platform, and have your own sort of your own audience and your own reach. So to be able to share that with other artists, I think is really great, and something that is really exciting to me about the metaverse, because you see, I don't know, it seems like every time we're in the metaverse, we see that sort of camaraderie and like artists highlighting other artists, which is really dope to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a great thing that's only going to get bigger in the future as we move more digital for our socialization than we already are, which is saying something.
Absolutely.
And another cool aspect I want to kind of bring back up is you're taking these artists and you're taking you know, you're documenting them, and you're going to have like documented proof through the history of, you know, what weeks, what months you have these different artists on a separate location. So it's going to be a museum for the ages.
Yeah, it's kind of meta blockchain idea, right? Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of it, is the idea of having a time capsule for the community at any given, you know, time, for sure.
Well, Claire, please keep us posted on the, you know, upcoming events, the opening of the permanent gallery exhibition, or the permanent gallery, and if there are any events that we can help live stream, or that we can just be privileged enough to sit in on and maybe share with our audience, we would love that at any point. But in the meantime, Claire, it's been really awesome to get to know you. You know, we've been watching and observing enjoying, appreciating your art from afar via Twitter. And it's great to put a voice to the name and really get to hear your backstory, which gives us so much more context. And I think such a greater ability to appreciate your art now that we really understand how you came to pursue digital art. So really appreciate you telling that story and trusting us to help you tell it. Are there any other things that you've got coming up, or anything else on your mind that you want to share with our audience that we haven't talked about up to this point?
Gosh, that's hard in the moment, right? Let me think
I'll
if
put you
there's
on the
anything.
spot, right? Just
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's
make,
fine. Um, I'm just really excited about this art movement that we are all a part of, and our place in the history of that movement and our ability to shape it from within. Like, we're here. We get to be a part of this, and that is so fulfilling. And I'm really privileged to be a part of it. And I'm privileged to come on your show and talk about it. So thank you for that.
privilege is all ours. Thank you. And I know I speak for Nova when I say we feel the same, for the little, granular part of history that we get to help tell and share with our audience. It's really an honor. Novo, any parting thoughts from you before we close it out?
Man, I'm happy to have talked to a friend that, we've chatted for a long time on Twitter and finally got to link up, and to hear her story. I mean, this is a true NFT story. Her story is just one that I will replay and replay. Thank you for what you're doing for the community. Like I always like to say at the end, stay positive and love life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Claire. And until next time, this is Mig with NFT Stories, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.